2026 has seen a flood of what we're calling devaluations. I mean, it seems like almost every ecosystem, with the exception of built, which just keeps adding value, seems to be pulling things away, sometimes little by little and sometimes pretty major changes. Things like the Hyatt devaluation, big news in the community. Well, one of them that kind of caught my attention because I've been such a Citi fan through the years is that people are very concerned because Citibank just changed the ability for family members to pool their points together. So as a person who knows the Citi ecosystem very well, my wife and I have, 7 to 10 Citi cards between us. We've had them for years. We have both of their high-end cards, one of which is not even available anymore. And we put lots of spend on Citi and value their ecosystem and their points higher really than any other on the market. So I thought, well, let me evaluate honestly. Do I think this is the end of Citi's value? Is this devaluation? Does it ruin Citibank? Well, let me tell you what I think about that. If you would hit the like and subscribe button, and let's look at it together. Now, this recent devaluation where Citi said that no longer in the near future are you going to be able to pool your points together with family members is, without doubt, it is a negative. In fact, it makes it harder if you want to make a booking, because if you have some Citi points and other family members have some Citi points, before you could kind of move those from one account to the other and you can make one big booking together. Well, that's not going to be possible anymore. Now, the reason that this is kind of important to really examine and not just look at it on the surface and think, oh, the sky, it's just another example, the sky is falling in points and miles, is you've got to remember that some programs already let you do this, i.e. Chase, but they did it at a way better level, in a way better way. And others, many other programs don't let you do this at all anyway. So Citi was kind of in the middle on this deal. Citi would let you do so, but when you moved your points, you got to be very careful because they had a hard expiration of 90 days. So 3 months, and those points disappear if you don't use them, which was kind of a hard thing anyhow, because some people, if they're not sure they have a redemption to use, you couldn't just move them over and just let them sit in one person's account. So certainly they weren't as good as Chase and some others, and they were far better than some of the others that didn't allow any, but they've kind of just moved into what really is par for the course with most of the issuers, that no, each person's points are their own points, and they've got to book separately. So I think that's an important thing to understand when you're evaluating, is that, yes, it was a great perk, but it wasn't really as great as many, and it was a great perk that had, like some big catches attached to it. So I think that has to be considered. The other thing that we have to look at is Citibank and their card offerings as a whole. And we have to think, does this matter so much when we think about how much we can earn with Citi, their cards in their ecosystem, and what that ecosystem is really worth? So we'll start with that part of it. Citi is very valuable because they have incredible transfer partners. Now, the other devaluation that's been in the news with Citi, it was kind of a 1-2 punch with this, was that you could transfer to some hotel partners at really incredible rates. 1 to 2 to Choice Hotels, 1 to 4 to I Preferred. And no doubt, if you had looked at some of those properties available in those programs, you could get really good cent per point for hotel points. However, I think that one has to be looked at with an honest eye as well, because when you think about Choice and I Prefer, I'm going to tell you, I don't know hardly anybody who used Choice on a regular basis, and I don't know anybody who used I Prefer on a regular basis. I Prefer has a tiny footprint. You could get great value, but a tiny footprint. And Choice just doesn't have upper-end hotels. They're kind of basic, bottom-end hotels for the most part, except for Cambria's, and those aren't all that common. So, yes, it was a devaluation, but was it a big hit? Well, I don't think for most people, because it was more like, well, in theory, this is a great, great redemption, but how many people actually did that? Now, maybe you're one of those who was, and it hurt really bad. But I think that's kind of true with both of these recent Citi devaluations. And when you offset it with what their cards earn, Citibank cards, in my opinion, are the best earners in the business. I mean, if you get multiple cards, you can get things like the Strata Premier card that gets 3x in a whole bunch of categories, and then you compare that with one, or if you're strategic and patient, with two, or maybe with three, or maybe with four custom cash cards, and those cards earn 5x up to $500 a month in multiple options as far as categories. So you could have one custom cash for gas getting 5x up to $500. You could have another one for dining getting 5x up to $500. You could have another one for, I mean, they just had so many options. We actually use one for gas. We use another one for home improvement stores. That's a category. It's really good earner. And then they had their Strata Elite card, their top level card, and that one is $5.95 a year, but it gives you credits and things to offset that. But it gives 3x on dining, except on Friday and Saturday nights. With Citi nights, it gives you 6x on dining. 6x on dining is industry leading, and Citi's the one that has that. But then that card's interesting because it's a 1.5x catch-all on everything. Or if you don't want that as your catch-all, you can go to the Citi Double Cash, and that'll give you 2x earnings on absolutely everything. So, Citibank, their cards just earn. Now, the other thing that makes it awesome is those points are worth so much, particularly because you can transfer them over to some great partners, but particularly American Airlines. And American Airlines points, as you transfer them over in a 1-to-1 ratio, are worth probably more than any other airline point, at least of the domestic airlines. Now, you can make a case with Atmos and Alaska. They're very, very close in value. But AA points are so far ahead of United, and they're light years ahead of Delta. They are valuable. For domestic travel, you can often get 1.8, 2.0, 2.3, up to even 3 cents per point sometimes for domestic flights. But for international flights on one world carriers and on their own metal, I mean, I have flown a $5,000 ticket for 75,000 points to Asia in business class with AA points. It can be done because their points are so very valuable. So that indeed builds up Citibank's value. And so do these devaluations, does this not being able to pool your points, in addition to that, the changes in their hotel transfer rates, well, they're not good. I mean, nobody's going to argue they're good. I mean, it was better before when you could do that. But we've got to remember, even when you could transfer points to others, you had a hard expiration 90 days that you had to use them. And on the hotels, they were obscure hotels. I mean, they're not really programs a lot of people use. Some people do use choice, but if you like nicer places, that wasn't really the choice for most people. So in my basic estimation, I don't think it's changed the incredible value that the Citi ecosystem has. You may agree, you may disagree, you may use choice, or you may use I prefer a lot. This not being able to pool your points may hurt you a lot. I would love to know how you think about all this in the comments down below. And if you would, please consider my channel membership. It is just $2.99 a month. You can cancel anytime. RM Insiders gives you early access to most of my videos. Also, I do special videos just for members at least every week. And then I have a higher tier as well, Spreadsheet Warriors. And with that, you get everything from RM Insiders. And we also have a Zoom call, a live Zoom, at least once a month, where we can discuss back and forth different strategies, ask questions directly. It's a great time. So you can check that out by clicking the join button or hitting the link below. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for being here. Tell me what you think about these changes with Citi. Appreciate you. I'll see you here next time.